Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Lewis Phillips. We are 2 rounds into AMA Pro Motocross for 2025, and it was a burner. Some say a barn burner, but most will just say a burner at Hangtown this past weekend. It was very hot, and our guy Big Lou was just walking around trying to survive. So first off, Big Lou, I would like a health update. Are we okay? Is everything all right?
Well, I'll give you a blow-by-blow. I drank a ridiculous amount of water. I was insanely hydrated. You know that film Elemental?
Yeah.
I was the water man. It was all going great. Amazing. I was ejected from the manager's tower, which meant that I lost some shade, which was a tough blow in maybe my darkest hour. And even then, I still persevered. Felt amazing. Like, honestly, didn't affect me at all until what people overlook is we're giving the riders a lot of credit for what they did. And of course, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I just feel like I personally belong in the same conversation. And let me tell you why. Because if you look at the temperatures in Hangtown on Saturday, the hottest it was from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. The riders had done their job at that point. Not Lewis. That was when Lewis really pulled up his boots and got to work. So if you want to talk to someone about how hard it was to tackle Hangtown's heat, technically, I'm the only one capable of discussing that because you weren't there and Steve wasn't there. So technically, I was the only pure journalist. There were obviously other people doing interviews, but they're photographers and videographers as well. I'm the only one who really got to work in the dog days of the day.
I like how you literally just said the photographers and videographers, the other ones doing interviews, who are also the ones that had to stand on the track all day long taking photos and videos.
I'm really focusing on this 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. range.
Yeah, I'm sure. No.
But to be honest, in the 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. range, walking around, talking a lot, my throat really started to go, and I've still got like a dry, sore, dehydrated throat even now. There was a fan mid-interviews who saw me and asked how I was, and I explained that I was deteriorating, and he gave me a Gatorade on the spot. So I chugged a Gatorade in the pits, and it spurred me on more. But no, honestly, will there be documentaries made about me and my day? I would like to think so.
I think so.
Should there be? Yes.
You're going to be in a 30 for 30 soon for this monumental comeback from heat stroke and dying at 70 degrees last year to seemingly okay the Monday after the hottest national so far.
I mean, I was really panicking when I got kicked out of the manager's tower, which is the next saga, because I will be returning to the manager's tower.
Are we going to talk about that today? Like, are we going to deep dive this?
I mean, we can if you want. I don't really have anything to say.
Well, I just don't want to get yelled at, so...
No, I will be back in the manager's tower.
No, I'm just saying, like, the whole thing is stupid. I
just want somewhere to watch.
Yeah. I mean...
Really, really want somewhere to watch.
Anyway. Let's not get into that. I'm just glad you're okay. I'm glad
that was why I tweeted midday about how great MXGP's pit lane was, by the way, for those wondering.
I know that, for sure. Yeah.
You know, I'm saying for those wondering, because it was quite a random tweet. I was mad.
I'm glad you're okay. I'm also very glad my call to action worked in that I told people if they see you, just make sure you're hydrated or have a glass of water or something. And this gentleman handed you a Gatorade mid-interview to make sure you're okay. So it's fantastic.
And then also, I ran my own media scrum because I was the only. It was a very Jordan Smith said to me, normally they beg the riders to turn up. This time we should be thanking you for turning up because I was the only one at the media scrum. So I had a line of riders who were just coming in, and they were just waiting for me. It was great.
Outdoors is so much better for that, man. It's awesome. And even on a hot day like that, riders just in line. That's crazy.
Like I finished one interview and then at one point Moserman and Jordan were stood next to each other and I turned to them and went, right, who wants to be next? And they did rock, paper, scissors. Sorry.
That's the behind the scenes stuff that people are going to love. No, awesome that you're alive and okay. Glad that for the most part, it seems like most people are okay from Hangtown too. I know that there were some crashes, but it doesn't sound like anybody's heat exhausted unless I haven't heard about Hymus yet. But anyway, okay, so let's get into the show. Before we do, of course, big thanks to Leatt, Racetech, Partzilla, Namura. We're going to tell you guys all about them throughout the show. But before we get into the show, we want to announce a giveaway. The Partzilla Blaster Power PRMX race team is going to do another giveaway. We're going to give away a bunch of merch and stuff like that. And how you guys get involved in this one is going to be a really fun one. We want you guys to guess how much it cost this team, the PRMX race team, to go racing for the year. The budget that it costs for them to actually get all 5-6 of their riders to the races, all the mechanics, everything involved with that. And while we are not going to reveal the actual number, we are going to pick the person who gets the closest. And then obviously by proxy, we will tell you guys who got the closest and what their number was. We're going to announce this on TikTok as well, so anybody that comments on the TikTok video, you guys will get involved in this contest, and we'll pick a winner there. But if you don't have TikTok, DM me on Instagram, at Kellen Brauer, and tell me what your guess is, because I am very curious to see how close you guys are. So very fun, and again, big thanks to Partzilla for getting involved with that. All right, let's jump into the show. My first topic of the day, Big Lou, and I kind of teased it to you Sunday, but genuinely, I feel like we are at the point now in the 450 class where Aaron Plessinger and Justin Cooper are not getting enough credit. And yes, round one maybe didn't show their, the best of them yet, but I feel like they were really good this weekend. Like, this is the version of AP and JCoop that I think is more the norm now and not an anomaly. And I think that they deserve a little bit more respect for the rides that they put on this weekend. And I think they'll be in this position moving forward. Are they going to win motos outright all the time? Probably not. But I think that they're more in the mix than they get credit for.
I don't know if this is that much of a difference from the norm. I mean, they got beaten by Jet. They beat Eli, but because Eli crashed in the second moto and had a terrible start. Yes, they beat Hunter. So that's maybe the difference, but I don't feel like this is a massive departure from the norm. With JCoop specifically, AP separately, I could have this conversation more so because that first moto was amazing and he very much proved that he can win a moto or an overall maybe on any given day. Now, again, the asterisk there is that Jet was struggling with bike setup. So maybe if you've got Jet and Eli on form, AP doesn't stand a chance. But I think JCoop, I'm more like, this is more comparable to what we would consider possible. AP, I think, yes, has taken a step up.
Okay, so then let's talk about Aaron Plessinger, who, as you said, led 26 minutes of the first moto. Probably could have won that thing if he didn't just kind of run out of steam by the end because it looked like he was just making a lot of mistakes because he was getting tired. But anyway, holds on for second, ends up getting second overall with a 2-3 score on the day. So he rode amazing. Like, to me, I feel like, again, if you take away the first moto at Fox Raceway, what happened in Moto 2 at Fox Raceway, these two motos this weekend, I think he's doing better than maybe expected, but also we should start to expect this. Like, this is starting to become the norm with AP in Supercross. He eventually figured it out. Last year outdoors, he was also starting to get the ball rolling late. Like, if this is what we see out of him now, I think that we can expect moto wins in the next couple of weeks and maybe an overall before this championship is done. And I think he deserves credit for that.
I mean, it's a very similar conversation to what you would have about AP and Supercross as well, isn't it? Because he's taken a step up there, and I'm not sure that everyone is on the same page of what to expect from him. So this is just in line with, his Supercross progression, but also his Supercross credit that he receives, right? It's not that different.
I mean, I guess, but like I said, I just feel like he's been building to this point indoors and out, and maybe we didn't exactly see that all the time outdoors last year, and we saw it more indoors, but it's a build nonetheless. Like, it's kind of, in a way, we're seeing the potential that he's had hidden in there a little bit, coming out a lot more frequently, and it's building into, okay, no, he's not just like a guy that's going to get fifth in this championship. You can start talking about him again, battling those guys straight up with the way that he just proved it this past weekend.
Yeah, but battling those guys straight up for a championship.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying race wins.
Okay, yeah, moto wins, yeah, sure. I mean, he's great at Hangtown. I think that maybe goes overlooked a little bit. He almost won the second moto last year. In fact, that makes his first moto defeat even more crushing because it was effectively the same, just one lap earlier than last year. I'll be curious, looking at his results, I'll be curious to see how the next couple of rounds go. Because last year he was good at Hangtown and then kind of disappeared a little bit until we got to the second half. So if he can become a podium mainstay or regular over the next couple of weeks, then that will really signal progress over what we had in 2024.
Okay. Let's go back to talking about JCoop and AP together here. Again, now they've finished on the podium. JCoop had a second place finish at the opening round, so they've kind of backed it up at the first two rounds in a way. If you had to pick one or the other, which one do you think actually wins a moto first and or contends for an overall first?
I would say AP at this point, although I could really see JCoop winning with like a 2-2 or a 3-2 on a very weird day. But as far as a straight-up win, then I think that's AP.
AP? Well, the only reason I asked that is because if you remember, JCoop led, 15, 20 minutes of the first moto at Thunder Valley last year? That was kind of like his breakout ride. And so I'm not saying that like Thunder Valley is the place that he gets it done, but I don't necessarily look at the Cali tracks as JCoop tracks. I think we're going to places that are going to get better for him, and I'm wondering if that's going to even like turn the dial up even that much more.
Hey, I mean, JCoop's only 2 points back of Eli in the championship as well, so maybe JCoop is the star on star.
Okay, I mean maybe not that far.
Okay.
But I mean it's cool to see that those guys are mixing it up because. Look, if Chase is not going to be here, obviously we hope that the Jet Tomac battle develops into something that's quite a fun championship picture. But, I mean, maybe you feel differently about this. I would like those guys also be involved. I would like multiple race winners this year. And we haven't really had that outdoors in the last 3-4 years. Like, it's kind of taken off as two guys really running away with this thing. So it'd be nice to see those guys mix it up more.
Yeah, but realistically, are we going to have more than two winners? I would bet not. I mean, if there's going to be a third, it would be Chase. Fair?
When he comes back, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, even that's going to be hard for Chase because he's going to be coming back with... he's going to come back. Jet and Eli will be right in the mix of their summer, so they'll have bike set up, fitness dialed. Chase will be behind the 8 ball, so even for Chase to get one isn't a guarantee. So, yeah, if I'm betting right now, I think the safe bet is probably we have two winners this summer. I mean, we may even have one.
And then you include moto winners in that too, just two moto winners?
Well, I'm talking overall wins.
No, but I mean, we've only had two moto winners, so could that trend continue?
No, I know. I mean, Chase wins motos for sure.
Yeah, all right. No. It'd be interesting to see. Hopefully Hunter starts getting the ball rolling too, because, I mean, it was not like he was way off this weekend, but it just was, he was clearly not AP and JCoop's level, in my opinion. Anonymous. Yeah, a little bit.
I honestly don't know if I noticed Hunter once.
He was in that like no man's land where like the Prado Anderson thing going on way back there was 50 seconds behind, and Hunter was like 25 seconds behind all the front stuff going on. So
yeah,
very interesting race for him. But yeah, I just like I said, I think to me, I just would prefer if AP and JCoop got a little bit more credit as being part of front running discussion. Are they going to win the championship? No. Are they going to win races? Maybe not. But I think that they deserve a little bit more credit than just they're not going to battle those guys because they kind of proved it this weekend.
Well, the thing is, JCoop and AP are the perfect examples of judging a book by its cover. Their image or the stigma almost around them and what they're capable of is so entrenched that the idea that we as an industry would change our expectations or our outlook on them is almost too hard to believe. So it's a very good case study of how a leopard can change its spots, yes, but how does the leopard make everyone see the new spots?
And that's been Big Lou's advice of the day. Take that That's what you will. Let me tell you guys about Leatt. Leatt protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And again, big thanks to Leatt for backing the show. Benoit Paturel beating Colt Nichols again this weekend, but it was a little bit closer. Nichols looks like he's getting kind of more into his outdoor feat once again, and Paturel was probably just absolutely sizzling in the Hangtown sun. So,
well, a big pat on the back for Paturel.
pat him on the back. There you go. Was that your go-to in GPs? You pat him on the back?
No.
No.
You know, Paturel asked me to manage his social and PR once.
And are you going to take him up on that now that he's here?
No, that was like 8 years ago.
Oh, go over and say like, hey, I don't know if you have anyone doing it now, but...
Well, he was a factory rider back then, so I feel like the desire has maybe gone a little bit.
I mean, he's technically a factory rider now. Come on.
I mean, maybe I could help the leopard change its spots and the spots to be seen by other people, which is the plight of the leopard.
Or maybe you'll get him back in leopard gear in Leatt.
Yes. Not snow leopard, though. We covered that.
No, not snow leopard. All right, let's get into my second topic of the day. I want to talk about Eli Tomac, and we already... I think 2 shows ago discussed like what should he do or what does he do, but I actually want to kind of flip this around for a second and more ask how beneficial or detrimental a late career move like this is going to be to him specifically. Because I mean, watching him at Hangtown and even watching him at Fox, like he looks so good on that Yamaha. Like that Yamaha fits him. It suits his riding style. He gets a lot of, out of that motorcycle because of the way that he rides it too. And he's also one that has publicly stated he is not, like he wants more power out of a 450. And not that whatever brand he goes to cannot deliver that for him, but I don't feel like it's given enough credence that he is going to have to go to a new team. Yamaha is not going to sign him again. And he's going to have to figure out a new bike and try to make that thing work for what he likes to do on that bike. Is this a real problem, or is this something that he's going to figure out no problem at 33 years old?
Well, obviously, we kind of did this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about what Eli should do. And I said that, yes, Ducati is a brand new bike, but also I think that going to KTM could almost be considered going to a brand new bike because I don't think it's going to be plug and play with Eli on that bike. So, I don't know if this is too similar to what we did before, but I do think there's going to be a learning phase and an adjustment to the KTM. I mean, all reports suggest that the test on the KTM went really well. All I've heard is positivity. Not from Eli himself, oddly. But no, all I've heard is positives about that KTM test. But then again, you test a new bike and it's mostly a positive on day one.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I wanted to bring this topic up because I feel like we were more discussing how the teams will adapt to bringing someone of Tomac's nature in, especially Ducati and or Triumph if they were to get him. But now, to me, it sounds like we're hearing much more leaning towards Red Bull KTM if he's going to go somewhere. So,
if you watched the first moto on TV, you'll notice that Ian Harrison very much went out of his way to congratulate Eli
he did.
on his moto win.
He did.
What a nice man.
And I saw way too many people saying this weekend, "Oh, there's a spot of orange on Tomac's gear." So clearly, that was too much. No, but so with Tomac's adaptation specifically, what I wanted to like get into is, like let's go back to when he switched Honda to Cowie. Honda to Cowie comes off an injury because he had the double shoulder surgery after crashing at Thunder Valley. It took him a year, if you will, to get back to old Eli Tomac, but I don't know if that was bike or injury. He kind of said it was more getting his feet back under him with injury. But then when he switched from Cowie to Yamaha, he adapted immediately. So do you think that he can be like a chameleon in that way? Like, is Tomac that good and versatile that even going to something like a Red Bull KTM, he'll find a way to figure it out quickly?
Is Tomac that good and versatile? Yes. Yet I will go on record and say that Eli Tomac will not come into Anaheim 1 and be ready to win on a KTM yet.
Okay. So it won't be as quick as the Yamaha adaptation.
No. But then the Yamaha adaptation, I mean, it wasn't really a surprise, was it? And I mean, But then the KTM is so different, so I just think there is going to be that process. I said that again. I said it last time we discussed this. I think that there will be an adjustment to the KTM on both sides, just because of Eli's a very unique rider. And all of the dumbasses in the comments for when, Herlings manhandles a bike around. Yeah, well, Herlings is in MXGP, not Anaheim 1. Dumbass.
Yes, but that's actually an interesting kind of juxtaposition a little bit because, as you have said a few times, like, Chase has been very curious about things Jeffrey's doing, and it sounds like a little bit vice versa. Do you feel like the riding styles of Jeffrey and Eli match better than what Chase and Jeffrey are? Like, I feel like that was two contrasting worlds, but maybe this isn't as contrasty if Eli were to go there.
Yeah, sure, but it doesn't really translate to Eli and Supercross, does it?
No, but I'm saying for outdoor setup purposes.
Yeah, outdoor. But then Chase also adapted to the KTM outdoors almost immediately. So I think that's less of a factor. Even Eli. I guess Eli's first Kawasaki outdoor season wasn't amazing, was it, from memory?
Well, but again, that's why I say I feel like, and he has said this too, getting back into the flow of things from the double shoulder surgery really took him time.
Yeah.
And I think that is why he didn't adapt to the Cowie right away outdoors. But as soon as he did, he was great on it. And I think that the Yamaha switch shows that he can, like, that's why I say, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, with him going to a more established program like Red Bull KTM, at the very least, him going there is something with a history of being able to figure out a bike on the fly and quickly, whereas it's not new and trying to throw a bunch of setups and other things at it. And I think that they will bring that knowledge base with them to be able to help Eli better get acquainted and adapt to the bike quickly, even if he is having minor struggles.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, the Chase information, if it transpires in the way that Eli goes there and Chase leaves, will help as well, of course, because they've been through a lot with Chase. They've tried a lot. They've learned a lot. I think that the knowledge of what options are available and what troubleshooting options are available are far along now versus where they were when Webb was at KTM, which feels like a lifetime ago now. In more KTM news, from what I gathered, Vial is signing with KTM this week.
Yeah,
for a full 450 deal. So,
and the makeup of the team will look like what, as you said?
Oh, yes. Well, I think we've talked about it before, but I got it confirmed that it will be 1 250, which will definitely be Juju, and then 3 450s, which will be AP, Tom, and Blank.
Yeah, exactly.
But Blank looks a lot like Eli.
It's looking more and more like Eli. It's still like hard for me to wrap my head around that. I don't know if it's that way for you, but I mean, Eli, after he left Geico Honda, has been Monster since 2016, and he would be 10 years on with Monster. And I know Monster has really liked that relationship with Eli too. So to lose him to Red Bull that late in the goings of his career, I feel like is just as a monumental of a switch in terms of a brand as it is the motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, why wouldn't Monster care? I mean, if you're in the business of marketing, there's no one better than Eli because he's so personable and active on social media and accessible at marketing events. So yeah, he's a marketeer's dream.
Well, what I will say about that, and I don't think that he's amazing at social media personally, but it's amazing to me.
That was complete sarcasm was what I said.
I know, but I'm saying it's amazing to me that he is still third in Instagram follows.
Well,
for
maybe
motocross,
there's something to be said about that.
Anyway, so we'll see where he goes, and if he goes to where we think he's going to go, I think it's going to be a fun adaptation to watch and see how it shakes down. Let me tell you guys about Racetech. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance, and I'm sure a lot of privateers would have greatly appreciated Racetech help as they were going through the choppiness of Hangtown with their arms pretty much touching their knees as they were exhausted this weekend and bouncing around the racetrack. And Racetech can help you out. So head over to Racetech and get your suspension done. Get some new gold valves over there. Good stuff as always. All right, my third topic of the day, I wanted to talk about 250s a little bit, but I also kind of wanted to specifically talk about the Lance Kobusch thing and how odd that was, because it's generated, I should say, a lot of fanfare about him leading 2.5 laps, and then the hand gestures back and forth, and then he immediately collapses and finishes 35th. But I think it was because he exerted everything he possibly could for 2 laps. Is this something that, like, if a privateer whole shots a race or gets up front as he did, should guys like take this approach more? Because like everyone's talking about Lance Kobusch now because he led 2 laps of a race, even though the result sucks. So we always talk about how great results are, and if Lance Kobusch could get a 12th, amazing. But he got 2 laps of fame, and now everyone's talking about him.
Yeah, but I guess they're all trying to take this approach. It's just not possible.
I don't think all of them are taking. I think a lot of those guys go out there, and even if they start in 8th, they think, okay, let me settle down and not blow myself here because this could be a good finish. No, Kobusch clearly did not care about that.
I think if there is a world where one of them does take the lead, then they're not going to care because they can't. I mean, realistically, even if Kobusch had thought to himself, okay, let's pace myself, what's that going to do? He's kind of backed into a corner. You've got no other option but to just send it and enjoy it while you can. Because realistically, who knows if it will happen again. Although, there was a moto, was there not, at Parla, where Kobusch did start, like, up there.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, so, I mean, underrated about this, and I feel like a lot of people just whooshed this, is Lance Kobusch was a really good amateur kid, too. Team Green for a long time, I think maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't know that he ever won a Loretta's title, but he definitely contended and just had a slew of injuries right at the tail end of his amateur days that really affected his promotion into the pro ranks. He's a very talented rider. And I think that with the right program could definitely mix it up a little bit more. I don't know about doing that, but it's an interesting case study because I feel like, again, the fanfare side of it is people saying like, oh, Bobby saw that and now he's going to sign him. And I'm like, no. But also, Kobusch is very good and probably deserves maybe a look from a few teams.
Yeah, he ended lap 1 in 7th in the second moto at Parla. So he's got starts in him. Whatever that bike's got inside of it, it's got some ponies, it would seem. Not bad for a privateer. I mean, if anything, it just makes it realise that if you're a privateer and, you know, let's say you're a leopard with some spots, you can change those spots. And when you're out front, it will show people that you have changed your spots and therefore make them see the spots.
They could see the spots better. Deserves more credit for the ride or performance that they put on this weekend. Lance Kobusch or Jan Panzer?
I feel like I mean this is gonna sound like such a dick, but what Kobusch did was cool. Credit? Is there like what credit do you give?
He hauled ass for 2 laps. Like he was beating the best 250 riders in the world just on raw pace.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he held on for dear life.
Clearly,
but no, like I feel like you said, I feel like Lance Kobusch is good enough where like him holding on for dear life for 2 laps doesn't necessarily surprise me a ton.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm less like amazed and in shock and want to give him his flowers. Whereas Panzer just kind of logs solid, consistent results almost weekly now with a team of 4 people. So
yeah, well, I bring up the Panzer discussion because, and for those that don't know, Jan Panzer, Slovenian, same country as Tim Geiser, and kind of making the team of the Motocross of Nations a potential powerhouse with his rides of late. Was really good at Teutschenthal this weekend, P8 overall, I think, right at the end of it. And I think why I compared him to Kobusch is his starts were really good. Like, I know he's a good starter in general, but he had really good starts kind of all weekend long. Like, every time you look at the start, you'd be like, oh, there's Panzer again, 3rd, or Panzer 2nd, or something like that, which feels like what we're talking about with Kobusch, a guy getting a start and trying to run with the leaders that isn't normally up there. But Panzer kind of is becoming one of those guys now.
Confidence is a funny thing. I do believe it's a lot to do with starts, especially with lower level guys like that. I think for Kobusch, probably wouldn't have done what he did without the top 7 start last week. I think that probably gave him a little more confidence to do it again or do something similar again. Yeah, maybe we need more. We do need a little more riders who upset the apple cart in this way. You know, riders who lead laps who aren't expected. We need more of that. It's because you don't get that in other motorsports because qualifying is so important that the best or one of the best will always start at the front and therefore lead into turn 1. Because our start is so even, we're one of the few sports where you can really have you know, an upset, someone run up front who shouldn't be there. Even, I don't know why this just entered my mind, but it snowed at the British Championship at Canada Heights in like 2008, and Scott Elderfield ran. He was like fifth. He finished fifth. You know, like we need more upsets like that.
Yeah.
There will be someone in the comments who remembers this day.
I'm sure there
Scott
will.
Elderfield ride. Scott Elderfield. You could write a book about everything that happened there, but I think that day at Canada Heights was probably his crowning moment as a pro, quote unquote.
Well, I think if you choose to become an author, you should start off with that. That's the book that you write.
But this is where like no one else is talking about Scott Elderfield at Canada Heights in 2008.
I think people are probably going to tune out if we keep talking about him.
No one else.
Did you see DC's Instagram video though of Kobusch off the start? Because he got a side angle of it where, like, obviously you see them coming at you on TV cameras, like towards you, and it's kind of not easy to tell where Kobusch comes from. DC though, like he's gate, I don't know, 20 something, and he had 3 bike links on everybody next to him, like 20 feet out of the gate. And I watched it again, and it's not like he has an insane jump. He just like literally gets in the rut and takes off compared to these guys. So kudos.
Well, again, started up front of Parler, so for a privateer to be that consistent out of the gate says something about either his technique, maybe he's a low-key Prado type guy, although Prado sucks at starts now, or the package.
How do we feel about hand gestures? The peace sign on the first lap and Deegan doing it back to him, and
yeah, it's all right. I mean, I'm not one of those people who just loses my mind and fucking thinks it's the best thing ever, but it's all right.
takes you
I
back.
was like, oh, look at that. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh.
AP got a whole shot a couple of years ago and did it. Ty Masterpool at Redbud.
When did AP do it? I don't remember that.
Let's Creek 23,
Why?
I think, maybe something like that.
I don't agree if you're a good rider because, act like you've been there before. I don't know if you're a good rider. Oh, sorry, if you're a regular front runner, they're all good riders, including Scott Elderfield in 2008 at Canada Heights. No, if you're a front runner, act like you've been there before. It's all about your aura. Got to give off the vibe. If you want your competitors to fear you, then yeah, you've got to act like you've been there before. It's like a leopard who's in a pack and being chased perhaps by a predator.
You've pretty much solidified that the show name is going to be something to do with leopards this week.
Or Scott Elderfield.
Incessant talk about it. Okay, so
Scott Elderfield is a leopard. That could be the title.
I want to talk about the Partzilla PRMX program. Hey, Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. And look, we like Julian. The PRMX team is awesome. Things are not going well over there. Mitchell Harrison was caught up in a pileup, and he had to help Brandon Ray get out from under his bike, but he still ended up 20th overall. Jack Chambers did not make the motos. He got in as an alternate in the second moto and got 2 points by finishing 20th, so yay. But Hunter Yoder also did not make the motos, did not make it out of the Consi, and Mark Finnis was not even there this weekend. So, yeah, not going great right now for PRMX.
I would argue that we're maybe Partzilla's greatest success story as far as pro motocross goes so far.
So far. And you guys can be too if you get involved in that giveaway. But did you talk to Julian this weekend?
Yep.
And?
In the manager's tower before I was ejected.
And did he just look like dejected, or are things okay?
No, because this was 250 Moto 1, so it was still...
Well, none of his riders were on the track.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. No, that's true.
Maybe he
Maybe
he should have been ejected from the manager's tower. There's no
when
one
did Chambers get in?
Moto 2. He did not race Moto 1. He got 7th in the Consi and then got 20th in Moto 2.
Which just adds to my case of why I belonged in the manager's tower.
Because someone was up there.
Pit lane, as I call it. Manager's tower really makes it sound like I shouldn't be there. I prefer the term pit lane, which is much more generic.
Yes. Okay. What's going on your side of the show, Big Lou?
Well, not to really bring everyone down and make this a super negative show, but what's really on my mind, I think it's all over. Yep, it's all over.
As in the 450 championship?
No, both of them. I'm ready to crown Hayden and crown Jet.
Okay.
Congrats to everyone. Congrats to all involved. I think we're done.
All right, so that's been our show today.
No, genuinely, tell me why I'm wrong. I do not see a way where Hayden loses this championship or Jet loses this championship. I cannot even come up with a way where I entertain that. Because we're at the point now where even over the next 3 rounds, if Eli goes 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, and Jet goes 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, that will only be enough for Eli to go 1 point up on Jet. Like, we're already at that point where there's a lot of work to be done to bridge the gap to Jet. And spoiler alert, Jet's quite good.
Yes, he is quite good. I agree with you that I don't see anybody else winning this title other than Hayden Deegan. I'm fully there on that now. But I still think that there's a chance that Eli just races and beats Jet straight up. I still feel that way. And because that still exists, I'm not ready to write this championship off yet. I do not have Joe Shimoda or Julian Beaumer or Levi Kitchen just starting with Deegan and running away with him and winning the moto. But I can see Tomac, Thunder Valley, his home race is coming up this weekend. I can see Tomac on that Yamaha finally getting a good start on that uphill instead of getting swallowed alive by everybody else around him and just going toe-to-toe with Jet for 30 minutes and winning. Like, I can see that. And so,
yeah, so can I on one day.
Okay,
but
that
now we're
makes
at the point where it needs an assault.
Here's why I feel okay about that is because although, yes, Jet had some times after his injury last year where he was being pushed, I don't feel like he has been pushed all the way as hard as he possibly can to the end of a moto
That's blasphemy to Chase Sexton.
Quite yet. I think Chase has pushed him well, but I don't think he's like gone, like the gnarly full distance that Eli Tomac will give him at times. And I think that Tomac will lead races that Jet is going to override, and I'm very curious to see what that looks like.
Hold on. Hello, Chase. Never talk to Kellen, the game guy, ever again for any interviews ever.
Great, fantastic. Yeah.
Fucking hate him.
How many laps did Chase lead in 23? You want to tell me that?
I don't know. From memory, he pushed him. From memory, did they not go toe-to-toe a lot to the end? I feel like they did.
They battled well, but I don't feel like that there was like maybe 5 motos where Chase was still... There was 5 motos or so where Chase was still like right on him at the end. And he was pushing him. But I'm trying to explain to you that I think Eli beats him straight up a couple times. I really do.
This is now the second most controversial thing to happen in SMX this week. No, this is past the social media post. This is now the most controversial thing to happen in SMX this week. Sorry that everyone had to hear that. There's some sort of hate campaign going on, it seems. No, yeah, sure, I agree Eli can beat Jet straight up, but I also think Chase could, but also that's not my point. I'm not really talking about singular races. Will Eli win races and overalls? Yes. But Eli now already is in a position where to beat Jet in the championship, he kind of has to just decimate Jet. And I don't think Jet can be decimated like that. Like, if they were... Different conversation if right now they were separated by 4 points. Because, yes, Eli can win 1 week, Jet can win the other, blah, blah, blah. Of course. But it's already a gap that's significant enough where Eli has no margin for error. And even if he did have a margin for error, I'm still not sure how it would go.
The only reason I bring this up, to be honest, is
be more Chase hate.
No, is because I look back at the way that Ricky Carmichael raced James Stewart, and I'm not discrediting Chase here by saying this, but Eli Tomac is a better all-time outdoor rider than Chase Sexton, and I think gives Jet a different feeling when he's being pressured by Eli Tomac, which he has not done a lot of in his career yet. And so I'm very curious to see, based on the way Ricky would push James till James hit a breaking point and would either cartwheel or just be like, I can't do this anymore. If Eli's doing that to Jet, how does Jet respond? Because we have not seen that very often yet.
Fair, although I do still feel like Chase did push Jet in the 2023. I don't think am I drunk? Or it wasn't a situation where Jet was winning the motos by 20 seconds. It was like 2 seconds. Or am I drunk?
I'm trying to go back and look through because okay. So the last 4 motos of the year, Chase was 1 second back, 5 seconds back, 1 second back, and then what's this one?
Pushed to the end. That's my point. He has been pushed.
And then Chase at Budds Creek Moto 1 was 9th. So
yeah, I remember that day. That was Chase Budds Creek Moto 1 has problems. I've noticed because 2022 that was also kind of where he lost the championship. I think, from memory.
But Unadilla Jet put 10 seconds on him in Moto 2. And
because
Ferrandis finished second in Moto 1, so Chase was 44 seconds back.
even last year when Chase was doing all the winning, he still lost Budds Creek Moto 1. No, sorry.
No, he did.
Wait.
Hunter won.
Yeah, Budds Creek was the penultimate round, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Budds Creek Moto 1. Something weird there with Chase.
Okay. But
Not
so
as
you
weird
did,
as
do
this
you
hate crime that you're trying to commit.
do you disagree with me that Eli Tomac can push Jet in a different way than Chase? I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Semantics now.
I don't disagree that Chase pushed Jet. I think he did. But I think Jet had a different mentality about racing Chase than he will with Eli.
Well, I would argue that Jet had actually more pressure in that time because he was also trying to maintain a perfect season at the end.
Okay. Well, he's technically still in the middle of a perfect overall season if you want to go to that route.
What is true about what you said, and there's not a lot, but we can find one, is Jet did tell me after the race that he still doesn't quite know how to race Eli or what his tendencies are, and he knows Chase a lot better. So he's still in the dark a little bit as far as figuring out what Eli's going to do and when, and that means he has more urgency for the entirety of a moto.
There you go. Urgency. He used the word himself then.
Well, I don't know if that's a direct quote, but that's effectively what he said.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you go back to the. Go ahead.
Off record, he did tell me that Chase is his number one rival.
Wow, spilling beans.
So you're wrong.
I mean, it's gonna be his number one rival for his entire career, pretty much from here on out.
Yeah, well,
because
that's
Eli's
kind of
gonna
what he was
retire in
saying.
like 2 years. So
That's more what he meant. He was talking about like entirety of life.
no, but like I just, again, going back to the RC James days, James was faster than RC. Agree or disagree? Jet is faster than Eli Tomac. Agree or disagree? Like, that's where I'm getting at.
Yeah, Jet is faster than Eli. I don't know if you can say that with certainty about James every single week outdoors.
He was faster than RC.
Yes. Supercross, yes.
He was faster than RC. RC was
Scoreboard.
more this guy. RC was more diligent and committed and pushed James in a way that he had never done so in his career, which broke James at times, but James was overall a faster rider than Carmichael was. And I think that's what Jet is with Tomac, but I think Tomac has that experience and ability to break Jet, if that's what you want to say, in a different way than he hasn't before.
It's just, I've never seen the most controversial thing to happen in SMX this week.
You got to stop with that. People are going to just know exactly where you're going in the comments here.
What do you mean?
Moving on.
What? I don't understand. Okay. Well, now I've just realised that you used my other topic, so I need.
Sorry.
Oh, here's one. I was thinking this. So based on the Pulp MX show interview last week, we do believe that Joe is leaving Honda, right?
It sounds that way to me.
I personally think he's going back to PC.
Okay.
Who the hell would Honda get to replace him? Genuinely. I can't think of one. There's not a name
Kobusch?
that jumps off the page. No. Scott Elderfield?
Scott Elderfield?
Like, genuinely.
Yeah, I don't
Someone
know, man.
like Cochran?
I was going to say that, but I figured you would get mad if I said that. He is looking, so maybe?
Someone told me, or I heard somewhere, or someone told me, or I overheard that Cochran does have an option to stay in the fold at Pierre. Bajaj.
Bajaj.
I don't know. Bajaj.
Just read my facial expressions.
Okay. Well, we know that he had a option at Star, but it doesn't sound like that's really going to happen, from what I gather. I don't think that he really impressed there.
Masterpool?
No. Don't be silly. No, genuinely, how weird is it? Like, normally you would be like, oh, well, they could take A or B or C, but I'm not seeing anyone that jumps off the page who's a free agent. Ryder D is a free agent, but I think he stays.
He is, yeah.
But Ryder D, a case could be made there. Like, if you look at it, Deegan's under contract, Kitchen's under contract, Masterpool isn't, Moserman isn't. Stop me when you hear a name that you want to sign. Hammaker is, I believe. Marchbanks isn't. Okay, still silent. Juju is. Schwartz? No, still silent. Harrop's under contract. Jordan's under contract. Cochran?
That seems like the only plausible answer at this point. right?
It is weird, isn't it weird though? Like,
Moseman?
you agree? No, HRC can't take Moseman.
I don't know, man. I don't know what they're looking for. Or
What's HRC winner?
flip side of this, are they even looking? We've heard many times before that they are not exactly wanting to have a 250 program in-house, and they would like to source it out to somebody else, Phoenix, maybe. So
Yeah.
maybe this is just the end of the line then. Joe walks. They hold chance until he goes to 450s, wherever he ends up going, or maybe stays in-house and he's 3 bikes. And then they outsource the 250 factory program somewhere else.
You really redeemed yourself from the Chase conversation there, because that makes a lot of sense, and I actually think that is I think that actually makes a lot of sense, but then actually, to counter, I haven't heard much talk of them outsourcing the 250 program for a couple of years now.
Oh, I actually heard more of it last year, but I don't know if and they're still.
Okay, well, maybe it
looking
was
at
last year, but I haven't recently. I've not heard much about like who would do it, who would be in the running, because I kind of think that there weren't, I don't know, many desirable options. What about the golfer?
the golfer.
Tiger Woods?
Oh no,
No, is he not that sort of material?
I mean,
Stick to the
listen, like this will probably get me vilified by some people in the comments. I don't look at much of the SMX next crop right now and go like, oh, must-haves a plenty. You know.
What about WMX? Someone in there we can pull?
Yeah, I think you got to just go get Lachlan Turner, sign her up.
What if there's anyone in MXGP they could get?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because obviously the Coonins are talking to HRC over there, right? Like that's potential.
I think that's very close to happening now.
But not that ties in over here at all. But at least it is another weird path that somehow it could work if Honda wants budget over here to use for them. But why not DeWolf?
He's under contract with KTM in Europe for next year.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's what I get told.
Oh,
2027 he can do what he wants, but not next year.
Benestant?
Honestly, I was just looking at the MX2 results, and I was going to say it's weird because no one really jumps off the page now as wanting to come to America, and the only rider who I could possibly throw out there is Benestant. But no one, I wouldn't sign him if I had. If you said, "Here, Lewis, you can have Benestant," I'll go, "No, thank you," and I just skip along.
Horgmo? Could Horgmo come race Supercross and
No.
factory Honda HRC Outdoors 250?
No, he's too busy with his vlogs as well.
This vlog would be great here, you know.
His vlogs are really good. I've talked about this before.
You have, yes.
And he also re-signed anyway, just so people who haven't seen that news. Like Lagenfelder, I've tried to get him to come here, but he keeps telling me he's scared. So that's not going to work. Unless we can get a therapist over at Honda HRC.
Ferris?
No, he's under 2-year deal.
Oh, okay.
And I think Lagenfelder will be his teammate next year.
Oh, news.
Yes,
Oh.
I do believe. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, the best option is what you said. And if not that, Cochrane, I guess. Unless there is a very obvious name we're missing. Because just to be clear, of the riders who we know, Thrasher? Oh, no, I think Thrasher's under contract. J-Mart?
Your face when you said Thrasher was like, oh, I found a diamond in the rough.
No, I think he's under contract.
I think so,
do
too. I
believe.
think they picked up his option this year.
Okay, so just to play the game again, to be clear. Ty Masterpool, yes or no?
No.
Michael Moseman.
I would say no, but I could see a world that they pull the trigger.
Okay. Garrett Marchbanks.
No.
So I could see that more than Moseman.
Well, the only reason I can see Moseman more than Marchbanks is because, to me, if I'm any 250 team right now, and I like Garrett, look, he's a nice kid, get the hell on a 450, bro. What are you still doing in the 250 class? All you are doing is watching yourself start in 15th place every week on a factory bike because you're too big.
Garrett's friends watch these podcasts and send him clips,
I'm sure they do.
as I found out. So I love Garrett.
I like Garrett too. I personally I feel that Garrett is a mainstay career 450 guy. Like he's going to turn into one of those guys that maybe in 2-3 years we're like, he deserves a factory ride on a 450 kind of thing. Because I think he's that talented.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's doing the right thing staying 250s trying to prove a point at this point.
Yeah. It's tough.
So,
Tough out there.
But I think I do think that's how some teams look at him. Personally, I don't know if Lars feels that way. Maybe he doesn't. But I do know that I've heard from some teams that they don't look at Garrett as an option just because he's so big.
Well, that's biggest. Or bigot.
So Cochran or Moseman?
Blank. No, it's fine. It's Cochran or blank. But I don't even know if you can make a case for Cochran.
Or blank. Robertson?
Yeah. Well, blank is the same. No, Robertson's got a 2-year deal.
Okay.
Blank's going to KTM, as we figured out.
Wait, so Robertson was on a 1-year deal last year and then got a 2-year deal extension?
No, this is his first year on Triumph.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My bad.
So he signed a 2-year deal to start.
He just hasn't been racing for so long. I don't even know where
Well, he did very well to get a 2-year deal. Don't know how tight that is. They might want to check the verbiage on it.
Not quite ironclad.
Well, I don't know. I would, if there isn't an ironclad contract, it may be that one because you need your rider to race.
Here's I'll throw a name at you that might sound ridiculous, but bear with me. Kyle Webster.
Kellen.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Brody Connolly.
Sure, Brody Connolly.
That one would make a lot of sense. Brody Connolly.
But Webster's already been under the Honda tent before.
Has he?
Didn't he race a couple nationals with Honda?
Yeah, but not under the Honda tent.
And then he raced nations under the factory Honda tent too.
Okay, if you want to make a massive stretch there. Actually, he wasn't under the Honda tent either.
Really?
He was under the Australian tent.
I heard he was on Joe's bike.
Well, yeah, he was on the bike.
Oh.
He was on Joe's bike. But I don't remember. Actually, maybe it was just the hospitality, the Australian tent. Anyway, the nations, sure. But if you want to connect the dots with the nations, there are lots of riders who have been under lots of tents that they never normally would be.
I only say that because, look, you pull a GP guy over here, it's like maybe he's good at Supercross, but at least Kyle Webster's raced Supercross.
Brody Connolly makes more sense than Kyle Webster.
Okay, that's fine. I'll give you Brody Connolly too, but those are names that we haven't thought about that you could think about.
He's younger. He wants to come to America. He's meant to come to America. He's meant to be great. I don't know if you put him straight on HRC, but it doesn't feel like there's many other options. So I don't know.
I think they just sign. If they sign anybody, they sign Cochran and just move along.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Okay.
And he's already on a red bike, so how hard can that transition really be? It's right there in front of him.
Let me tell you about Namura real quick, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2025 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. Sorry, Big Lou, did not mean to cut you off, sir.
I don't know what I was going to say. I don't really have a third topic, which is an issue because the show is kind of based around having topics, I realise. What could I do? Your internal monologue now has a voice and it's a celebrity. Who narrates your every thought?
I thought we just did this recently, but it was who in the sport you would have as your voice.
You know what? I do kind of.
And then we joked it would be funny if
I feel like it was randomly something that came up.
Yeah, we joked it'd be funny if Steve was the one narrating our life.
Yeah, I wonder how that came up. Maybe that was last week. Maybe I read this random list last week.
Maybe. Is this just non-moto segment now?
I don't know. I haven't really got another moto because, to be honest, I feel like the season's done.
Season's done, this guy.
No, I was being dramatic. We could talk about Jeffrey.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, we all knew if there was one track where Jeffrey was just going to shine, it would be Tuchenthal because it's been so kind to him over the years. Like, if you think Jeffrey, you think Tuchenthal.
Oh, you're ridiculous, this guy, dude. Oh,
even his first world championship. 2012, when he battled with Tommy, and it was the best season ever, and it was the best year of my life, and I've never been so into something. And I can still remember Matterley Basin clear as day because Tommy winning that day was just changed my life forever. Never been the same. Even that season, Jeffrey won the championship and then went and DNF'd the first race at Tuchenthal. Like, Tuchenthal and Jeffrey do not go together. So it is quite something that was his crowning moment. And now he looks especially good to win in Latvia, which I bet Steve on last week, so I'm feeling good about that. Also, don't know if you know this, Jeffrey likes money. And we're really getting into the thick of contract negotiations now, so this is definitely the right time for him to win. May or may not be by design. We can never rule that out with Jeffrey. It's possible that he maybe could have won 2 months ago, but was just waiting for the exact moment that everyone is starting to talk to him about next year.
Fantastic. I'm going to use your own words against you. It was a mutter.
I'm sorry, I must have missed the first moto being wet.
Okay, he got second in the first moto.
Yep, ran Coonan hard.
Yep. Oh.
0.985 at the finish. Gave me a little bit of a flashback to 2021 when he and Prado crashed into each other. Similar to the Tommy 2012 discussion, another moment that shook me to my very core and I never quite got over and I couldn't believe my eyes. No, it wasn't. He ran Coonan down.
No, I'm just giving you shit because you told you use those words against me.
You tried to claim Fares's moto win as a legitimate thing when, to be real, and if we're being blunt, Fares has been a disaster so far.
Okay, how about the fact that you literally said last week you think it's going to be Kai, Simon, and Andrea, and Sasha Coonan was about to win the GP?
Yeah, okay, maybe I should have remembered that Sasha Coonan can, but also I was kind of right because that's also why I don't put Sasha Coonan in that conversation because he could probably win a lot of GPs.
Okay, yeah,
but
you
there were
lucked
also
out.
hazards around, like fans and TVs, and it's not out of the running that he could hit a truck in the paddock randomly. So yeah, I don't know. Adamo's going to win.
Adamo.
The MX2 World Championship. Yep, congrats to Adamo.
There you go, 2-time world champion Andrea Adamo.
Yep.
Halfway through the season.
He's going to prove me wrong. I don't have an issue with him, despite what he thinks. This is very different to his 2023 world title. He's really taken a step up, and he's going to win the championship. So congrats to Adamo. Also congrats to KTM, who won their 400th moto, MX2 moto, at the weekend.
Was that a social media post somewhere? Did they make a big graphic? Nope.
Only Lewis.
Yep,
That's
only
known to
Lewis.
that. Really should open that checkbook.
And can I
this
just...
is when Jeffrey is negotiating for 2026, I will be behind him like that Step Brothers scene. Be like, and also I need money for this.
Yeah. I wanted to ask though, because you're his buddy. What's the Jeffrey situation looking like? Are there big positive steps towards a contract next year?
A lot of ins and outs, lot of highs and lows. You know,
Yeah.
lot to see, lot to do. Been busy, getting busier.
How much percentage have you weaseled into the contract yet?
Jeffrey doesn't share money. But I am trying to weasel in some marketing plays here.
Okay, there you go.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
No, good. Yeah.
Yeah. You said like you made it sound earlier in this discussion like there's several people knocking at the door, and I'm just trying
there isn't.
Trying to get an indication if there's a line of people stooling up behind her now or
There
what.
should be. It's Jeffrey fucking Herlings. we just need everyone to wake the fuck up and realize what they've got in front of them. It's not often you have a beast, a bullet, wandering the paddock looking for a home. So we just need everyone to wake up, shape up, get their head in the game, fucking open that checkbook.
Well, I think Teuthenthal and Chase crashing at Paula was a perfect sign as my point proven. They should have had Jeffrey also here, but whatever.
Did you listen to my interviews?
No.
So I interviewed Ian Harrison, and I had 2 questions in mind to end. First one was Chase. Second one was a pitch. So I said, where's Chase? When's Chase coming back? Congratulations on your extremely vague PR. Which he did also admit that, yes, the PR probably was a little vague. He went, Chase, we'll see probably Chase. If I had to bet, we will see Chase at Southwick. And I went, well, that sucks, because the next question was going to be, I had a dream. And it involves Southwick and someone in Europe. And he said, are you talking about Mr. Herlings? And I said, yes, it doesn't clash with MXGP. If Chase was out anyway, there's literally no reason to not do it. But if Chase is coming back, kind of ruins the plan. So now I need to start a group text with Pitt, Chase, and Jeffrey. Convince Chase to sit out longer. convince Pitt to let Jeffrey come, and then also we probably need to find like 2 million start money for Jeffrey to do it as well.
2 million.
So there's a lot going on, but I'll have to start a group text.
I like that he needs 2 million start money to race Southwick when this guy was just fucking showing up for 8,000 euros to race the British Championship. But you know what I mean? Like this
he
guy.
probably doesn't. No, we don't. You know what?
He would show up for free. Come on.
Yeah, he probably would.
Yeah, it's Southwick. And he's
but Chase is coming back apparently and just going to ruin everything.
tell him that his health is more important, and we need one more week to be fully ready for what's after that. Redbud, yeah, home race.
I did say to Chase, we'll hang out in your time off. So maybe the hanging out includes a crowbar to the knee,
or just therapy with Lewis administered upon Chase Sexton about what he really needs to do,
or just tie him up for the Southwick weekend. It's not. So yeah, my dream got squashed, but my dream of Jeffrey Herlings winning again is very much alive. And to revisit a previous LVK topic, because I think it's time that we do this again. 10 rounds left in MXGP, and just a measly deficit of 268 points.
Oh my god! Stop it! Stop! Get some help.
So if we go 1-1-1 in Latvia. Going to cut that down.
262 or whatever.
Watch this space, I guess. I mean, I wonder if there's a way where we race Southwick and somehow we can get those points added to our MXGP total, just to help us along. Because that would help.
Yeah. Maybe that's...
And then maybe we can do some charity work for some bonus points.
There's supposed to be, at some point, maybe never, the combo MXGP AMA race, and maybe we just say, like, this is the test run. And just Jeffrey will get the points, and we'll see how well it goes.
And then Roman will say, I'll come. And we'll go, no, we can only have one.
You stay.
Yes.
You've got the championship lead, you're fine.
Yep. I'll tie him up with Chase as well. And in the end, to make this all happen, I will have like 20 people tied up because there will be so many people and threats to ruin this scenario that there'll be too much going on. And I'll be that guy on the news saying, I don't know how it got this way. I'll be that guy on the news saying I didn't mean it to end up like this. Yeah. It started off so sincere.
Yep, I'm sure. Oh,
but also, maybe the highlight of Lewis's journalist career, the fact that I not only broke the Combine MXGP AMA story, but I also got quotes on it. Maybe one of the few moments in Lewis's career where I actually did like legitimate journalism and broke a story with quotes and people on the record.
Look at you.
Yeah. And then look at Scott Elderfield at Canada Heights in 2008. There's a lot to look at.
Yep, and also leopards. So we'll see leopards.
And well done, Jeffrey.
Good job, Jeffrey. He's back. 109 Grand Prix victories now, right? Is that where we're at?
No, 108.
108. Okay, so 109 next week in Latvia.
So yeah, to sum up this episode, Scott Elderfield in 2008, leopards. Well done, Jeffrey, and watch out, Chase.
And congrats, Lance Kobusch. Great 2 laps, buddy.
Yeah, I guess. And also, who the fuck knows what Honda's going to do?
All right.
And also, it's all over.
It's all over. Go home. We don't need to watch anymore. 9 nationals to go. We don't need to watch. No, thanks to Leatt, Namura, Race Tech, Partzilla, everyone who backs the show. That has been another edition of the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. And Thunder Valley coming up, which may or may not have weather? Question mark?
It looks a little rainy.
A little rainy. And we'll see Benoit Paturel, Valentin Guillot 1-2 at Thunder Valley this weekend.
No one will be watching Thunder Valley because all eyes will be on Jeffrey Herlings' run towards his 6th World Championship starting in Latvia. Here we go.
Lovely. Lovely stuff. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next week to recap Thunder Valley. So long.